Find out what these coaches are teaching your kid and figure it out. Now, you're going to have to develop trust. I tell every coach when I show up, I say, you have my most prized thing. Don't screw it up. And I'm literally very direct and serious, and I'm here to support you 100%. But if you go sideways at all, I'm going to be the first one right there. Okay? And I think they know that I'm there to support, but they also know that I think we all will say the same thing. That's your child. Don't mess it up, right? Don't blow this experience, because what you got to realize is most kids quit playing youth sports after just 2 seasons. Why? Discouraged, too much pressure to be successful. Now understand this, your child is probably going to get out 70% of the time when they play baseball. Think about this. Eric, if you had a guy that was 23 years old and ended up playing 10 seasons in Major League Baseball, got out 7 out of 10 times, struck out half of those times, what would he be at the end of those 10 years?
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. Where else in life can you fail 70% of the time and be a Hall of Famer? Right? Happy, rich, the whole thing comes with it. So this is such a great place, because don't we want our kids in life to be able to learn to fail fast, fail forward, and come through that? The sooner they learn that, and the more you can celebrate it, the better. So part of this process is going to be you're accepting the fact that that's going to happen. They're going to have success when they hit it home, and they hit on the tee, in the closed environment, or whatever you do. But as soon as it gets out there, and all of a sudden there's all these different changes in environment, everything changes. And you have to help them to be able to figure that focus out. Believe it or not, especially how many have young girls that are playing anybody? So my daughter, very important for them, and young girls that play sports. There's a study out that says that 96% of the top 3% of the money earners in the nation that have competed in a team sport through their sophomore year in high school at a minimum. So just that's on the female side. And I don't know if it's because they understand it's a man's world, or how to compete or win, or whatever it is, but that's a pretty thick statistic. My daughter's playing sports as long as I can keep her in it, right? Well, I think the same, I don't know the stat, but there's got to be something that's similar for kids that play, that team sport, understand, like we talked about. Now the next piece is going to be that while the kids are playing and figure these things out, we have to allow them and understand it's their journey. You are a typical dad who played high school baseball and wants your kids to play baseball because you love baseball. But what we're going to have to figure out is, why do they want to play? And that's going to be part of this process that we're going to have to sort out. And I'm going to help you to do that in a couple of minutes here. Okay? The spirit and intent of this league is that every child wants to play next season. That's the goal of the league. Because if they want to come back and play, they've done their job. Now, if you notice, it didn't say about wins and losses. It didn't say about home runs. It didn't say about World Series. It didn't say all that stuff. It said to get your child to want to come back and play next season. Right? That's it. So for me, I think that's their goal. What we have to do is identify your goal. So what you're going to do is flip this page over. So I created this quiz, and you know, there's what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, there's 10 of us in the room. There's a good chance that 70, 60% of you will actually do this, and there's a few that are going to think, yeah, I kind of get it, whatever. And it's your deal. And the fact you got mom and dad here, I would take that quiz separate. The idea is to find out what you want out of this experience. So I'll give you an example. It says here, how much playing child my child receives. It's important, unimportant, slightly important, or very important, right? You just write the number down. What do you think it is for yourself? And then your child makes it to practice on time each day. Your child's skills, blah, 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 all those. And you write those out. Then what you do is, tonight, you sit down at dinner, and you ask your kids. You got twins, separate them, ask them separate, and come back and compare. You might be surprised. My daughter, her first time playing, which is crazy, which was softball, her first real sport was softball. Do you know what one reason why she wanted to play? She wanted to wear a uniform because her brother had it. That was it. She didn't care about softball. Even though she was actually pretty good. I mean, she could do stuff, but she didn't care. Her number one reason was because of that. But then we find going through this process is, okay, great. So now what can we add to it to make it more enjoyable for her? the warning I'll give you is this. You have to recognize, if they don't care about it, you can say, come on, buddy, don't you want to do it? Yeah, okay, yeah, Dad. But realistically, what the first answer they give you, that's the real answer. Now, you can entice them through the process, and that's kind of where we come in, and Lee comes in. We'll talk to you a little bit about that. Number one is that what's the one skill? Is there a skill that you'd like outside of sports specific that we want our kids to be? Right? And did you know John Lennon, when he was a kid, they interviewed him and they asked him and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was his answer? Happy. They said, you don't understand the question. And he said, you don't understand the answer. Right? So we want our kids to be healthy and happy. That's what we want, right? I mean, okay. But to me, the one thing that we need our kids to be is confident. Right? And here's the crazy part. As parents, we may not be confident, but we know that if our kids are confident, if your son is confident going out there in the big great world and willing to try things and go out there and experience, that's the only way he's going to find happiness. Because internalizing and staying like this, it's not going to happen. Right? So how do we give them confidence? Well, confidence in sports comes one way. It comes from having the peace of mind of knowing that they understand what's happening. And they develop the skills to match those things. So through this process, what we can do for you, what the league can do for you, what you can do for them, is help them to understand and figure out the skill opportunity. That's what we're going to give them. So one thing that we do through my company is we have camps. And for my kids, they go to a camp every season before they play. There's my camps, Newman, anywhere, send them to camp. But make sure it's a camp or something where they can go and learn the skills so they understand. I'll give you an example. How many of your kids know the difference between first, second, and third base? Good. You're in the minority right now. Because a lot of these kids are going out there and they're going, they start running towards third base. They're different, right? Or left, center, and right field. Okay, left, center, where is it, right? So you're going to have to help them through that process. If you want your child to have that, what I find is the more engaged you are in a manner that's the same page with that coach, the better success you're going to have with your child in the season. I'm not worried about you guys yelling at umpires and freaking out about all the crazy stuff because you're not there, okay? You're just not. But I will say this, that if you're not careful of how you communicate with the kids, you can find yourself undermining their opportunity and you'll be in that percentage that most kids only play 2 seasons. So the game's over, and you're not at the game, and your kids are playing, your wife's there with them, and they call you up and say, honey, the game's over. What do you say? Your son is on the phone, he just got done playing, you're at work somewhere, you stepped out, you called, what's the question you ask your son?
Did you have fun?
Did you have fun? I like that. No, Dad, I didn't. Hang on, that's all right. A lot of people are going to ask it.
Why not?
Why not? Right now you got to dig, right? Okay. I know everybody's nervous coming to call. Right? What are you going to ask? What do most parents ask?
Did you win?
Did you win? How many hits did you get, bud? Right? Did you throw anybody out? Did you catch any balls? My son played a tournament yesterday. He is a very good center fielder. He got 1 ball hit to him in 2 games. Pretty exciting day. Pretty exciting day. Right? Wow. So remember, right? So here's what happens. Even this question you have to be careful of. How did it go? When you ask a kid how did it go, what do they think? Did they win? So what I generally do is I ask questions, and I'm kind of out there, so hang with me. Remember I told you about my hip you up already. I said, how was the journey today, bud? How was the journey today? And then most of the time your kids are going to give you the one syllable answer, it was okay. And guess what? Leave it alone. You got to leave it alone. What I do with my kids, and now they're a little older, but basically what I do like with Mason and Mia, when they're playing, whoever's game day it is, when the game is done, we get in the car. They get to sit up front. Whoever just finished playing gets to sit up front. They get to pick the radio station, which is a little tough right now because my son's like in rap, so I got to tell you it's a little tough to deal with. And they get to pick where we go get the Slurpee or the frozen yogurt. I give them the power back, dude. Now with triplets, I don't know what you're going to do. Exactly. I got it. Rochambeau, we're on our way. But whatever it is, whatever that is, give them the power back. And then what happens is, this is the next piece, which is really going to kill you. And you and I field because you're a baseball guy and you get it, is he was out there and he got a good rounder, made a great play, and went to throw it to first base, but you noticed that he twisted his hip and the ball went over the top and he threw it out. Deep inside you, even though he did all that, you're going to want to comment on that one play, right? I'll give you an example. Yesterday my son was 3 for 3, he had 2 doubles. He caught a shoestring catch in center field, had a great game and the whole deal. But he got picked off at second base. Not paying attention. It was an 11-0 game, wasn't paying attention. My ex had a hard time not asking about that play. Why weren't you paying attention? As soon as she started talking about it, I said, hey, save it for later. Because the problem is, we know, unfortunately, we know the one thing, and it's such an easy fix. Pay attention. For God's sake, you're on second base, pay attention. But you can't say that. And you want to make the correction, but you can't. Because unfortunately, the moment you point that out, even if you say, God, bud, you did so good, you got 2 hits today, and you did a great job, but you didn't do this. As soon as you say that, all that other stuff goes by the wayside, and they only hear that. So my recommendation is, leave the corrections and directions before, during, and after the game to the coaches. You just be 100% unconditional love and support. Be a fan. And when it's all said and done, and everything's out there and this and that, then I ask my kids, what's the one thing you think you did best? And what's the one thing you think you could have done better? And we're getting pretty honest. It takes a little bit. When I coach them, I say, what's the one thing you think I did best? What's the one thing you think I could have done better from the coaching standpoint? And then ask them the same thing. I think if you start to have that dialogue with your kids, you're going to find out they're going to open up. They're going to feel more comfortable about it. What I find for my kids, it leaks out into everything now. I mean, the whole conversation across the board, it leaks out into everything. And my son's going to be a high school freshman, and he still likes me. So you'll find out. Sometimes it's not always the way that it goes, right? Going forward. So as you go out on the journey in this lovely weather we're dealing with, figure it out. I guarantee the kids are having fun, and that's really what matters right now. My staff is giving them some skill development. I hope that you guys have a successful season, and to me the success is that they learn to have fun, to fall in love with the game. When I worked with the Lakers, I got one night I was meeting with Michael Cooper, who was the player, you may remember, Magic Johnson, you know that. So we were having a conversation. We were trying to figure out what's the one thing that parents can give their kids. What do we got to give our kids to have a chance to succeed in sport? And one of them we decided you already did your job. That's genetic, right? You're done. Right? So if you got 3 little ones, sure you're done, right? You're done. Genetically, you've done your job, right? So that means if you're 5'2" and not really fast, don't expect them to be, Blade Runners. It just doesn't happen, right? Okay. On the other hand, the one thing you can give them, and we talked about dedication and effort and everything, but you know what it was? It was passion. If you can help the kids have a passion for the game, because the only way they're going to really get after it is if they learn how to have so much fun doing this, they want to do it and no one's watching.
I go to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny? I see these on the door here. And it reminds me when I was a kid, because we didn't have a garage door when I was a kid. My neighbor did. When they weren't home, you know what I was doing? I must have drove them nuts, right? Exactly, until they got home, I had to go in real quick, right? With a tennis ball, so I didn't get it too bad. Anyways, how many kids go out and do that now, right? So, if you said to your kids, go out and do this, they probably would. But how many times do they say, Dad, I want to play catch? And by the way, if your child ever says, I want to play catch, you better find a way to go play catch with them. You better find a way to do it, because that's what they want. So for me, hopefully you guys have an amazing journey. You're on the fun part of it. What I found through my journey, and the only reason I know this is just after 30 years doing this, 180,000 kids have come through my programs, dealt with coaches and refs and players and that. I've seen more people screwed up than not, and that's why we're here kind of helping through this process. Have fun, realize it's their journey. Don't impose your will over the top on them. Just help them to understand the process, and then let them figure it out for themselves. And what you're going to find is it'll leak out into everything else that you want, and it's probably going to be pretty exciting. So I don't know if you have any questions for me. They're going to be done in just a little bit, but you can stay in here. But there's an extra wing. We're giving away 3 summer camps that are in Santa Rosa. So if you want to spend a week with us, just you can see Claudia.